These are the 9 most ruthless persuasion techniques, explained in under 10 minutes. Master them, and you'll start controlling conversations without ever looking like you're trying. Because once you can quietly steer any interaction, you unlock the kind of influence that gets you what you want in business, relationships, and life. Frame takeover. Reshape reality mid-conversation. Imagine you're in a heated debate. Someone calls you too aggressive, and the spotlight's on you. Most people would jump to defend themselves, explaining, apologizing, or tripping over their words. But here's the thing. Defending yourself only strengthens their frame. You're playing by their rules, and they're in control. What if instead you calmly reshaped the context? That's the power of a frame takeover. It's not about arguing. It's about redefining reality. For example, if someone says, "You're too aggressive," you respond with, "I just care enough to be direct." Most people avoid saying what matters. With one sentence, you've shifted the conversation. You're no longer on trial. Now they're reconsidering their own approach. Suddenly they see things your way. This isn't manipulation. It's leadership. Redefining the frame puts you in control. But what if you could flip the pressure even further without saying much at all? Question inversion. Flip the pressure with a sharp question. Picture this. Someone throws a tough question your way. Maybe they ask, "How credible are you?" Most people freeze, stumble, or over-explain. They fall into the trap of defending themselves, giving away control in an instant. That's a common reaction. But here's the smarter move. Flip the pressure back on them. This is called question inversion. Instead of answering directly, you respond with a sharper, more strategic question. Say their question is, "How credible are you?" You could reply, "If results matter most, what else has delivered better outcomes in less time?" Now they're the ones who have to justify their position. Your focus shifts the conversation, reframing it on your terms. By inverting the question, you avoid defensiveness and set yourself up as the authority. They're too busy answering to challenge you further. Now, imagine saying even less and letting silence do all the work. Silence trap. Using silence to dominate the dynamic. Silence is uncomfortable, right? Most people can't handle it. They rush to fill the gap, often saying more than they intended or revealing something they didn't mean to. That discomfort is the key to one of the most powerful persuasion techniques, the silence trap. Here's how it works. After making a strong point or asking a sharp question, you stop talking. You hold the pause deliberately. That silence creates pressure, an unspoken weight that forces the other person to respond even when they might not want to. For example, ask, "What would that cost your team?" Then stop. Don't fill the space. Let them wrestle with the silence. This isn't just about making someone uncomfortable. It's about projecting confidence. Silence signals control. It shows you're listening and secure in your position, and it shifts the power to you without you needing to say another word. Persuasion Seed. Influence before you even speak. What if you could set someone up to agree with you before you even make your argument? Most people don't realize this is possible. They jump straight into persuading, not understanding that the real advantage is won before the conversation begins. That's where the persuasion seed comes in. It's about planting an idea early, so subtly that the person doesn't even notice it shaping their perspective. For example, start a conversation with, "It's funny how we all follow certainty, even when it's wrong." It seems innocent, but it primes the listener's mind. Later, when you present your case with calm confidence, they're more likely to agree because their brain is already aligned with the idea you seeded. This technique is invisible but powerful. It works because people respond to ideas that feel familiar or resonate with their values. But what happens when someone openly disagrees with you? Let's talk about that next. Controlled disagreement. Subtle pushback creates power. Agreeing feels easy. It's safe, comfortable, and keeps tensions low. But here's the problem. Constantly agreeing places you in a submissive role where you're just going along with someone else's ideas. On the flip side, outright conflict can make you seem combative or overly emotional. So, how do you strike the perfect balance? Controlled disagreement. Controlled disagreement works by acknowledging their point first, then calmly presenting your counterpoint with quiet authority. For example, if someone says, "This method won't work," you might reply, "That's one way to see it. From my experience, this tends to create better outcomes." You're not dismissing them. You're showing confidence in your stance while respecting theirs. This approach matters because it positions you as thoughtful and composed. People respect voices of reason, not reaction. Now, what if you could shift the dynamic even further without saying you're in charge? Status level shift, act like the prize without saying it. Imagine walking into a room and instantly commanding respect without saying a word. Most people treat interactions as if they need to earn approval or prove themselves valuable. But what if you flipped the dynamic? Instead of seeking approval, act like you're the one evaluating. This is the status level shift. The key is to subtly communicate that you're assessing them, not the other way around. For example, ask a qualifying question like, "You seem sharp. I'm curious, what do you usually look for in a partner?" It's simple, but the subtext is clear. You have standards, and they're being measured against them. This subtle approach makes them unconsciously work for your approval. By acting like the prize, you elevate your status naturally. It's confidence without arrogance. The result? You command influence in any interaction without saying, "I'm in charge." Now let's explore how to get people to agree with their future selves. Future projection trap. Agreeing with their future self. What if you could persuade someone by appealing to the person they want to be? Most people focus on the present, trying to convince others with facts or logic, but that approach misses something deeper. People are driven by their self-image and the future version of themselves they aspire to become. This is where the future projection trap becomes so effective. The idea is simple. Speak to someone as if they already embody the traits you want them to align with. For example, instead of saying, "You should consider this decision," say, "You strike me as the kind of person who doesn't settle." That's why this next move makes sense for you. This gentle framing connects your proposal with their ideal self. By positioning your idea as part of who they already are or aspire to be, they're more likely to agree. It's subtle, but highly effective. Isolation technique, control the key person in a group. In a group setting, influence can get messy. People talk over each other, opinions clash, and your ideas risk getting lost in the noise. Most people try to address everyone at once, but that only dilutes their impact. Here's the smarter move. Focus on the one person who matters most, the key decision maker. This is the isolation technique. By narrowing your attention to the most influential person in the group, you bypass the distractions and control the dynamic. For example, in a meeting, say, "Sarah, you've led similar projects. What's your gut on this?" With one sentence, you've subtly elevated her role, directed the group's focus, and aligned her influence with yours. The strategy is simple, but the effect is powerful. It creates a one-on-one connection that drives the conversation, and once the decision maker buys in, the group often follows. Finally, let's talk about keeping people hooked. Open loop drop. Create curiosity you control. What's the one thing people can't resist? An unanswered question. It triggers something in the brain, a need to close the loop, to solve the gap. Most people don't use this to their advantage. Instead, they give away too much too soon, spilling information before others are invested. That's where the open loop drop changes everything. This technique works by creating what's called a curiosity gap. You introduce an idea but hold back the details. For example, you might say, "There's a persuasion method I use that flips the power dynamic. Remind me to show you sometime." The brain immediately latches onto the mystery, wanting more. And here's the twist. You control when and how to reveal it. This keeps people hooked, invested, and engaged. The power lies in withholding just enough to make them seek you out. That's the art of strategic curiosity. These techniques are about understanding how influence works beneath the surface. The people who master them aren't the loudest or most aggressive. They're the ones who know how to subtly guide interactions toward their goals. Start noticing these patterns in everyday conversations. Experiment with them. Watch how they shift dynamics and open doors you didn't even realize were there. The power is now in your hands. Once you master this social code, no conversation will ever feel out of your control again. Influence isn't random. It's a skill. And now, you know the tools to shape it.